are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Monday, March 16th. Interesting slate today. Looking a little tiny bit different than it did this morning, but still just a gobsmack of Josh Giddey in people's lineups today. Had to bring it back for you. So everybody hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman, at Eric Lindquist. What's good, brother?
Yeah, feel pretty good about some of the process from a betting perspective last night. I mean, I usually get my content out before anybody else in the industry, so you know that it's kind of getting played straight up, and ran into Josh Giddey double-double, and well, then we turned that into triple-double, and then we turned that into more of the triple-double. Bet him from plus.
I thought you were going to turn it into a quadruple. You didn't turn it into a quadruple double or a quintuple double?
I don't think he's ever played defense, so I don't think that that's something that he's actually remotely. I think you could combine steals and blocks, and he's probably never going to get to 10. But I feel pretty confident that Josh Giddey was massively undervalued there. From a DFS perspective, you know what happens, though? Things get more efficient as we go along. People are pretty good at recognizing the best plays, and I was quite confident that Josh Giddey was going to be massive chalk coming into this slate based on what I was looking at last night. Do you know how many potential assists he's averaging in his last 5 games?
26.
That's such a good guess. 25 and a half. It's absurd. It's absurd. It rounded down, so it's at 25 on NBA.com, but then I went through each one individually, each game. He's at 25 and a half potential assists per game over his last 5. I know that there's a little bit of intro. Oh, Robert Williams did get ruled out. Fuck. And I wanted to just get my Donovan Clingan stuff. Yang Hansen's in the G League, dude. Donovan Clingan is going to play so much right now. Like, even against Brooklyn, I mean, they don't really need, I guess, a true center. They can just go Jeremy Grant 5, Matisse Thybulle, do whatever. But, like, there's not another center really with the team. Who's Jason Kent? Who is that? He's a shooting guard. Never mind.
That's a great question. Jason Kent, 6'8", 215. So, you know, that's something. It's Clark Kent's son, brother.
Probably not. And feel pretty good about Donovan Clingan minutes. My God.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, we'll dig into that in a second. We've got a lot of dumb stuff to talk about. The Chicago Bulls are dumb today. We'll talk about them. It's Josh Giddey. It's Jalen Smith, the 2 highest owned guys. They face Memphis. We know how stupid Memphis is, but today isn't one of the dumb Memphis days. We get them from time to time. Look, one day it'll be, Memphis has 3 guys, the mascot's playing, and one of the assistant coaches. And then someday it's like, they have 12 dudes. You never know what we're getting there. Portland is now subject to change at least a little bit. We have Clingan in for 30 minutes on the nose. At the very least, you kind of think that's going to go up at least a minute or two. So that should improve the fact that he is the second highest projected owned center of anybody that exists. And then we have to start talking about what pay-ups are for today, because on the screen right now, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. There are 16 names on my screen. It goes a little, there's one more past Bilal Coulibaly. Only 2 of these names are higher than 8K. One of them is Josh Giddey, who's in the number 1 spot at 9K on the dot, and $8,800 Denny Avdia, who's just like a guy on the slate. This is a very different pay-up situation. There's no Victor Wembanyama. There's no Jokic. Giannis isn't really like a thing right now. Jalen Johnson, 10-9, your most expensive guy. Everybody else is 9,600 or below. Crazy day.
Well, not only that, FanDuel has all of the games. So like they're like 2 completely different slates. So it ends up being a great day to have exposure to both, just purely because I think there are some upside options. There's some late swapping that we could potentially be doing for one major piece of news. That is the Alperen Şengün one coming up later that you don't have any access to here. And DeJounte Murray, I think everybody's going to be reacting to both sites where, you know, you could open up fears. You could open up a couple of other things that aren't all crazy good, but like there's a little bit more value that could be waiting in the wings. But I look at this slate specifically. It was always going to be Josh Giddey. He should be mega chalk. The guy's also going up against Memphis, where over their last 5, last 10, any sample size you look at, since they decided to, I don't know, play basketball without a center, they have the second lowest rebound rate in the entire NBA. So it is triple-double extraordinaire. He is at 18.5 rebounds plus assists juice to the over. He's at 20.5 points. I mean, this is kind of dumb for Josh Giddey. The minutes have just been way higher than you would expect this time of year for the Chicago Bulls, considering it's been just winding down. I don't know what they're trying to prove. I don't know what they're doing. Obviously, Giddey was hurt for a portion of this season, and they got off to a crazy hot start. They had the best record in basketball through, I believe, 8 games or 10 games. Didn't lose for like the first 3 weeks of the season. That changed quickly because they sucked, and now Josh Giddey is just getting unlimited runs. So I look at everything with the Bulls and this Memphis side on the other one where they're not playing to win basketball games, limiting everybody's minutes, doing nothing on the boards. Like, this is such a prime spot to just queue him up. I get why his ownership is what it is. And still, according to our stuff, not high enough. So outside of him, I'm going to ask you, do you want to say at the same time our second favorite?
Paying up?
Paying up.
Give me the cutoff in salary.
We'll make it 8K and above.
Okay. We're going to say the same name, I think, but we'll go 1, 2, 3, say the name.
Yes.
Perfect. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, Tatum.
Paolo Banchero. Okay.
We were on the same page. Duke guys. Got it.
Yeah. There we go. We're just to form. Tis the season, tis the week for us.
There's another one in the list too. Flag is in this list.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's almost like it's a good basketball
and Jalen Johnson.
Dude, unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, we've got Cal.
Now I'm gonna start scrolling.
Brown. We got Booker, Kentucky. We got Bajemski,
Zion,
Santa Clara, Desmond Bain. Where did Bain go again?
Dude, I'm just trying to think about Duke guys. Jalen Johnson, Banchero, Flag, Tatum. That's 4 guys in the top 8 of everybody. Zion is on this slate if you want to go that direction. It's a good day to be a Dookie.
Yeah, I would agree. Every day is a good day.
Okay, so talk to me about Banchero then. Let's hear it.
Okay, getting into the Atlanta pace-up spot here, and we've seen Jalen Suggs on the floor, eat up some more usage at times, but like it's still being a lot of Paolo Banchero, and you're getting Tristan da Silva out there instead of a Anthony Black or Franz Wagner, and the rebound rate has kind of been nifty. He's at 9,600. Feels pretty tough to get there, and I feel pretty confident his ownership's going to kind of stay in check. I do feel like Jason Tatum's similar to the same play, but I have 24% Paolo Banchero. I have 8% Jason Tatum right now, something I could definitely change come closer to lock and maybe kind of even the gap between the two. But power forward, man, that's the position right now that you look at, and it's just like, there's going to be a massive score from somebody. And, Jalen Johnson, Paolo Banchero, Jason Tatum, and nobody's pulling ownership because we have one very obvious power forward we'll get to a little bit later here. I feel better about the spend ups than I do eating some kind of power forward value.
I have nothing negative to say about Banchero. He probably would have been my second answer in all of this. I just look at $8,600 Jason Tatum and I'm like, all right, well, his price is never going to be 8,600 again, right? Unless something happens today, it's just going to continue to climb. He played 32 minutes against the Wizards 2 days ago. So this is this is a real game. Phoenix is a real team. Phoenix is trying to win this game. Boston is trying to win this game, and they're going to meet resistance. So you expect Jason Tatum to play 32 minutes today at a minimum. I wouldn't that's my expectation for him. So he's just underpriced. 8% owned, 12% optimal. I just want more. I just want more Jason Tatum.
Yeah,
he's under. We're not going to get this gift again.
No. And I mean, we got a 231.5 total for an Orlando game. So Orlando, it's nice for Paolo Banchero to be able to get a little bit of a pace up spot, playing without Black, a little bit of a spike there, 1.25, and he's going to play 37 minutes in most circumstances. So I like the Banchero one as well. But yeah, Tatum, 8,600. Yeah, I'm a little surprised too. Just even like talking through the process of it, that it's not there. I was just holding hands with the field. Probably give them a little bit of a bump and make sure that I get there, because who feels good about Kristaps Porzingis today? Anybody? No. Okay.
I guess I feel good about Porzingis anytime he's going to play. Like, I don't have any confidence in him being on the floor, but I think he's going to be fine when he's there. That's the scary part for me.
Oh, I was just thinking that you're happy he's alive and stuff because he has the bubonic plague, and there's that.
I mean, the real problem here is that he's 5,500 with an MPE against the Wizards.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's 30% owned, and I am not surprised to see it. Are you going for it hard or just like holding hands?
I don't know. 22 minutes. I mean, he hasn't been playing any minutes whatsoever in a couple of these spots. And so, I mean, he's just such a good fantasy producer, and he's going to be playing, Golden State's on a back-to-back themselves. He obviously didn't play the front end, but I don't know what to tell you. Draymond Green, I'm surprised, is in. D'Anthony Melton, he's in here as well. So there's a lot of these dudes that LJ Cryer didn't matter. He obviously was eating minutes yesterday. Moody still, out. Quentin Post now joining the fray there. Kristaps Porzingis. Like, they signed Yomer Yurtseven, but like, it's not like we're worried about playing time for Porzingis to some extent. I think my thing is just like, if he plays 20 minutes and doesn't go completely nuclear, like he's gone, knocking down shots. I mean, 2 for 6, 2 for 5. Not like he went crazy from 3, but the volume, it's just, you expect it to be there, I suppose, for him as well. I don't know. It's just a question of, does he want it against Washington? It's just such a weird thing, because I know there's such a cap on his right tail in terms of minutes. Like 22, I'd be shocked if he played more than 22 minutes in most circumstances today. We've currently got him in for less than that, but he's pulling 35% ownership. We've just seen these guys get crazy ownership, Josh, on a couple of recent slates where you get to lock, he's 40+% owned. It's just a really uncomfortable feeling when I know there are so many massive scores at the power forward position somewhere. I don't know where, but they're all single digit owned because of Porzingis. So I don't know. I'm contemplating it for single entry, and that's something I just wanted to talk through.
Yeah, it's just facing Washington is just such a benefit. They're so damn bad. He's got a little revenge narrative in him for this one. He's been everywhere at this point. He just
happy.
The fact that he starts is really helpful, because I would never trust this shit if he were just like a bench guy. All he has to do is get the sniffles or whatever, and it's over for you. But as long as he's going to start, you feel a little bit better about it. The question then becomes, if it's not him, I've got this sorted by value right now. We've got a pretty decent chunk of ownership coming into a $4,300 Leonard Miller. We have much more optimal rate on him. Jalen Smith is the second best point per dollar play. Josh Giddey is third. That's 3 Bulls. And then our fourth best point per dollar play is non-starting center Yves Missi, 3,700, 10% owned, 10% optimal, but a decent point per dollar play for the day. We've got Marvin Bagley at center, about 15% owned. Tristan Vukcevic at center, about 15% owned. Where do you want to go for value today? Or is it just that since we're not really paying up all that much, there isn't really any value to worry about?
I'm a little bit worried about a couple of pieces here and there. By the way, is this the most updated deal? Am I looking at the right data? Do I have the right data in here? Because Josh Minot is...
We just got a projections update at 6:15, so sometime in the last 40 seconds.
Okay, just wanted to double check, because I just refreshed and I'm looking at different stuff. So I wanted to be sure that I wasn't crazy here for a minute. Josh Minot has had 2 just nuclear games for no reason. The last 2, and now everybody wants to go play Josh Minot. I'm sure that'll go well. But Leonard Miller, small forward, power forward, this Memphis spot is just the absolute stone cold nuts. And, Chicago getting Josh Giddey, Trey Jones out there creating for everybody else, Bezelis, Miller, Smith, all of them going to be in really, really good spots. I mean, I look at what they have off the bench. Patrick Williams is back today, which is a little bit surprising to me as well. But here we are. Nick Richards sent to the Shadow Realm, I'm sure. But The more you kind of work through this, the more it just becomes apparent that small forward is a wasteland and you need to fill it with somebody. And Leonard Miller does the job. Power forward, we've obviously gone in and on that, but like you go through the small forward options, it is bleak. Gary Payton, second most popular guy. Jalen Wells, who feels great about that. Bilal Coulibaly, where the minutes right now look okay for some of these guys, but he seems to be pretty secure, but you never know. It can flip in a second depending on if he's playing well or not. Herb Jones, D'Anthony Melton. I mean, what are we actually doing here at small forward? It's like, I feel better about the cheapest of all those chalky options, 4,300 in the best game environment against a team not trying to win. And Leonard Miller seems like he's just going to be playing a bunch, not a complete nothing in terms of fantasy point per minute rate, but like him definitely the most, and weird piece of chalk to like.
Yeah, not so weird now. Colin Sexton out today for the Bulls. So whatever you thought of Leonard Miller before that, he looks even better. There's just more minutes to go around. They don't have a lot of bodies. It's Lachlan Olbrich and Yuki Kawamura, and he's 6 inches tall. He's a wee fella. He lives inside. He makes cookies inside of a tree. He's that little.
There were a lot of Olympic slates where he was a big deal.
I don't know about big.
He was a small deal, but a big deal. We but mighty. There you go. I like that. Disco stupendous. I think that's kind of the perfect way to describe it. The guy can distribute like crazy. Like they don't need more playmaking nobodies. They just need guys who can make shots for Giddey. And Giddey's starting to make shots for the first time ever. So that's fun. It's got to be somewhat inspiring if you're like, there's nothing that you could possibly feel good about being a Bulls fan. But if you were looking for one reason to not jump, Josh Giddey potentially learning how to shoot a basketball, 38.6% from 3 this season, best of his career, not by a landslide because last year he started to figure it out too, but he's developing way better than I thought he would in Chicago.
Speaking of Chicago, now this data that we have on the screen right now is not up to date with Colin Sexton being out. So hold on to that for a second, but the point will remain here. Josh Giddey is very owned, very optimal, very boomy, very everything. What happens if the Chicago Bulls win this game and it's not because of Josh Giddey? Is there another Bull that you think you would naturally want to have in situations where you don't have Giddey?
I mean, the two there's 2 of them. It's Trey Jones, Buzelis. Like Jalen Smith is pretty popular already. He should be, but like Montes Buzelis can go out and get buckets now. Another guy that I'm kind of impressed by what I've seen from him this year. I haven't seen a ton of Chicago Bulls basketball because, I like my life, but I do look at Buzelis as somebody that has started to come on pretty strong at the tail end of this season. He has a lot of minutes upside too. That's kind of the sneaky deal is Yabusele is going to kind of get sent to the shadow realm. 45, 35, 34 minutes the last 3. Now, the one is inflated for a little bit of overtimeness, obviously, but Buzelis is not a nothing out there, and he is certainly worthy of this price tag that we've got. And Jalen Smith, I didn't expect crazy minutes for him right from the get-go, but 34-30 for him the last 2. I think he's just a dude can show up in a bunch of lineups, and I'm fine with it. I just think center has a lot of great tournament options. Power forward, but put on the list, though, Buzelis, where he can take a game over. You don't need to have it be Giddey doing everything. Giddey can create a bunch for him, and, it doesn't have to be a crazy Giddey game by any means. And then Trey Jones has like a 5.5 assist line, 15.5 points. Like, you look at his props, I don't think it would shock me to have one game of Trey Jones just absolutely spiking for some crazy upside. Haven't really seen it because of this run that Giddey's been on, but like, if you told me Giddey didn't have a big game, I would think that Trey Jones probably put up 20-8, 20-10, and found himself optimal because Giddey got in foul trouble or got hurt or something of that nature. And Trey Jones played 32 plus minutes for the first time in a while.
I'm just looking at this Bulls team. I like the Buzelis shout. He's going to be underrepresented here for like what he could be. He could just have a really big game today and be interesting. And he's not like, he's a 1.12 fantasy point per minute guy. I get the 7,700 is not ideal here, but if this just doesn't go Giddey's way, it's not like Buzelis just isn't out there all the time. Similarly, I do find Nick Richards really sneaky. They've had this weird dynamic where Patrick Williams was out for 2 of the games, and then Yabu missed one, and then Jalen Smith missed the most recent one. So we don't really know how they're going to shake out that Patrick Williams, Yabu, Nick Richards trio. The last time that we saw it, they kind of all just got it. But now there's no Sexton here, but that was also a game where Leonard Miller only played 1 minute. I don't think it'd be crazy for Nick Richards to play like 25 or 26 minutes today, which feels really good against Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, like obviously,
there's something he doesn't suck for what we need today.
We saw 8 minutes of overlap between Richards and Jalen Smith sharing the floor on the 12th it was. So double check that for me just to make sure, because I don't want to say anything ridiculous and make sure I'm looking at this right way. We had 8 minutes of overlap of Jalen Smith and Nick Richards on the 12th.
Yeah. Realistically, probably. I mean, Lachlan Ulbrich was out there for 6 minutes, but I'm going to assume that you're right. I mean, 30 minutes and 25 minutes at a minimum. They played together likely at some point.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, he just looks sneaky. Now, he might only play like 20. He might play exactly what we have projected, but like that kind of feels like his floor today. Or maybe not his floor, but like his, I don't know, it just feels unappealing. I like him more than 5%.
I do too. Dillingham, anything. It's just,
we have the updated Chicago data now for him being out. Giddey, 75% owned, 80% optimal. Jalen Smith, 40% owned, 45% optimal. Leonard Miller, 35 and 50. Trey Jones, 25 and 35% optimal. And then Buzelis is at 10. Nick Richards is at 5. I think Buzelis and Nick Richards both look a little bit better than that says. And that's not to say that I don't like Giddey or Smith or Miller. I think they look fantastic.
Yeah. Nick Richards, I mean, there's just not a big on the other side. This is just for him and Jalen Smith, an amazing spot to walk into. And, you know, I guess the hope is that they don't just carve the minutes as a backup 5 for Richards and they play him alongside Smith. That was the main reason that I was citing that from the 12th, just so that we have that potential. We can play them in lineups together and not feel like it's going to exclusively hold you back from upside. So, yeah, I'm going to take a look at Nick Richards here too. I just think I think center is littered with a ton of great tournament options that are all in that mid-range as opposed to like like power forward. I'm spending up. I'm going to find ways and builds that, you know, I can survive a 30 piece, I think from Porzingis, 35 even maybe, but you know, there's a lot of these high upside options I really, really like, and I'm going to try to temper it down. I'll be below the field on Porzingis when it's all said and done.
Yeah, center, we've got Jalen Smith at the top of the list, Porzingis, and then Donovan Clingan. That's a trio of like in and around 35% owned dudes. And then it falls off. It's Draymond, Josh Minott, Tristan Vukcevic, Wendell Carter Jr., Danny Wolf. It gets gross real fast. I mean, it's kind of gross the whole way. Realistically, like Donovan Clingan is the only guy you really like to play. And then it's not that, like Jalen Smith is obviously a really good per minute guy, but I don't trust the Bulls in any way to give anybody proper minutes, particularly Jalen Smith, even if I like him. Like, let's just have this center conversation. Minott, Vukcevic, Wolf, Misi, Bagley. What's your preferred bag of shit today?
Well, I said that there's just like good tournament options because like Jalen Smith looks the best, but he is very popular. And how many Bulls are too many Bulls? And like, what are we going to be doing in that regard? I obviously love Clingan. I love getting Robert Williams out of there. I expected that to be the case, although just the fact that he was questionable all day. Normally we get that news out much, much earlier. So he's your spend up at 7,800. I think that he looks pretty darn good for today, but like I'm looking at Marvin Bagley and I'm looking at Evis Missy. And I think both of these guys are pretty underrepresented. Now we got to see what happens with DeJounte Murray in New Orleans. There's a world where Missy ends up in the starting lineup. Although I think Jeremiah Fears probably makes the most sense as somebody you can kind of mix in there. Bryce McGowan's is out. Otherwise, he would probably be the guy that we've seen kind of in those start spots a lot more frequently. Jordan Poole's been out of the rotation.
I don't want I don't want to cut you off here, but the last time that Murray sat on the 5th, Messi got that start.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I like Messi, is that I love getting to Messi as a result and just having some of that at 3,700 at a position where his minutes could go from 22.5 to 26.5 real quick. And depending on when we get that news, it's very, very important. I like Tristan Vucevic in theory. He's kind of the same thing as Porzingis, where he's an unbelievable fantasy producer. He's 4,800, but eating up center when I can get Missy for 900 less, and obviously there's a right tail to his minutes, whereas Washington just is eternally capping these guys. I do feel pretty good about that. I will say this too. I'm really worried about Josh Minot ownership. I think Josh Minot gets pushed in some ridiculous way. People love their box scores still. We've seen this routinely the last couple of weeks. And 24, 22 minutes now for Josh Minot, just somebody that's been mixed in a little bit more. It feels as though we're going to get something that needs to sit there in terms of value right now. And all of our values like 5K, like in the 5K range, as you kind of look through it, Porzingis, Draymond, Jalen Smith, yada, yada, yada. But like, if Josh Minot gets pushed up, give me for sure Danny Wolf, 5,900. The guy who I know is already baked into some minutes. And then we also get ourselves 27 minutes of him, like a floor. Like Danny Wolf has upside for a lot more minutes, especially as we've seen Claxton get really limited in pretty much every spot, no matter what. So like Danny Wolf is getting crazy run. As long as he's starting, I feel really good about him and that ownership staying in check because of Minot's price tag.
I like the Messi shout for sure. Obviously, there's some upside in that move if we get any interesting news. I'm with you that I don't have a ton of interest in Josh Minot. I mean, he's not massively owned, but he is the 5th most owned center, technically, which is crazy to think about. Tristan Vucevic scares the living shit out of me, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had a good game. Like, I'd roster him. I just wouldn't think about it. Him versus Bagley is an interesting conversation. And then in this entire list of everybody we just talked about, Nick Richards is below all of them in ownership. And we've already had that conversation. So like the bottom, I don't know where this is leading my brain. Like, we like so much there. Is it just that it's not Porzingis to you?
Yes. Well, it's just that Porzingis is crazy popular. Like, I'm going to say the crazy one that I've got that I just have been thinking about all day. He's my Nick Richards to you. Is Julian Reese just in a center timeshare with Tristan Vucevic where it's like 2028 and we're under projecting Julian Reese by a lot? Like not in terms of like fantasy score by a ridiculous amount. He's been a worse than normal fantasy producer at the center position, but like Julian Reese, Anthony Gill played 6 minutes. And again, Washington can do whatever they want at any moment in time, and it's not going to shock me. But I think 28 minutes is legitimately on the table for Julian Reese as well. And I see him at the bottom of the table now at 3,400. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of really good tournament plays. And now Klingon, who would have been my favorite, is popular. So there's that. Not that you can't play popular guys. We have the Sims. We know very much that you can do such things, but like, I really like Messi and having it backloaded. And I like the idea of, in theory, playing a lot of Danny Wolf. We'll see if that comes to fruition when I rerun stuff, but Julian Reese is the idiot that I keep thinking about who, well, good luck.
Yeah, I'm not, you could have that one. I'll let you have that one.
Yeah.
I'll just play Nick Richards for $1,000 more. Wizards will start Trae Young, Johnson, Koulibaly, Riley, and Reese.
Fuck you, Josh. Woo!
I mean, whatever. Magic will start Suggs, Bane, De Silva, Banchero, Carter Jr.
Like
so there you go.
Julian Reese. You like the way my dick a test?
Straight into the starting lineup.
I want to talk about Julian Reese some more.
Well, he's about to look better than he did before.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's actually stupid. I'm not even gonna lie. That's one of the dumber things ever.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Depending on how this moves, it probably makes me like Tristan Vucevic more.
I was just thinking that too. It's like maybe we just flip flop the conversation we just had. Like give me a 2% Tristan Vucevic who's going to play the exact same amount of minutes that we're projecting him for right now, and Julian Reese who's probably going to play a little bit more because now you're going to project it. I mean, that honestly is the best timing we've had on a show that you and I have done together maybe ever. That was beautiful.
It was fantastic. I mean, it couldn't have been much better. We walked ourselves right into that one. Sometimes it's just an incredible segue. That's just what happens.
Yeah, there's that. Again, I bring it up purely because it's been like 2026 or whatever, and Anthony Gill's been sent to the Shadow Realm. That's my way of just saying they're not in the rotation, and I say that over and over without explaining myself. Yeah, Julian Reese, we're going to see what happens to that ownership at 3,400. My guess is it goes up, and Tristan Vucevic is going to go down, even though we're going to keep his minutes pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think Reese is going to jump to like 10 to 15. And Vucevic is probably going to like sneak under 10.
Well, here's my question. Here's my question, Josh. Is Tristan Vucevic a DNP CD risk?
I don't think so.
They are on a back-to-back, front end of a back-to-back. Play Detroit tomorrow. We've seen Vu be somebody that they don't really play both sides of it. Maybe this is their way of like not playing him, and then you get crazy run from him with Gillen backing it up.
Gafford and Clay both officially out. I don't like it, that's certainly on the table. I wouldn't say that it's a no. It would surprise me if it happened, but
Same.
I would expect, like, I wouldn't worry about it, but it could absolutely happen.
My guess is we get Sarr back tomorrow, and so we get Sarr playing, and then you get Tristan backing him up, or you'd get Gil backing him up, and you don't really know which one. Yeah, that's just weird to me. So yeah, maybe, okay, Rich has just said something. So I saw her sitting tonight. Would imagine Vuk plays and sits tomorrow. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is like, we probably get some kind of split there and Gil's just out of the rotation. And then tomorrow you get Vuk sitting and you'd have Gil backing up Sarr, and there you go.
Julian Reese season, baby. As we expected this entire time. Warriors will start Pajemski, Melton, Richard, Santos, Green. So no Kristaps Porzingis.
I'm telling you, people.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, how good am I today? How good? Scale of 1 to 10. Just locked into the news. It's almost like I do this slate 24 times before we get to lock, which is what I feel like I've been staring at, like the ceiling.
You think you'd get it right more often? Hawks will start Dyson Daniels, CJ McCollum, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu. Yeah.
It was really rude. Do you
maybe
want to apologize?
Perfect timing. No, it was perfect timing. It was perfect timing. What I will say is that you guys should click the links in the description of this video if you guys are interested in, one, getting our sims, getting our projections, getting our ownership, 15% off any of the DFS packages as long as you use that link. You could also sign up for the props tool if you're interested. And I'm pretty sure you are. We had a ton of people check out the deal that we offered to close out last week. I know Greg is going to be here shortly, about 25 minutes, breaking down any bets that he could find inside the prop tool. And then if you just want Odd Shopper in general, live betting, maybe you want some ARB opportunities, the fastest live odds score or odds screen you're going to find, that link is also in the description. Whatever you're looking for, DFS, Pick'em, sports betting, we're covering it all. And if you just want something extra special free, download Tails. You can follow whoever you want. It won't cost you a dime. You could see the link or the logo on the top of the screen right now. The link is in the description. Follow myself, follow Eric, follow countless other people. You'll get any free play that they post. If you find out you like somebody on there and they're posting a lot of winners, maybe they offer a paid package as well. Somebody like Eric or like DK DFS, who is also in chat at the moment. Sign up at Tails. Whatever you want, guys. The links are in the description. I like this slate now. I had to talk my way into it, but I like how dumb it is with like weird, shitty people. I feel like Spags today. There's a lot of dumb, shitty guys that are like Team Josh today.
But I told you the future. I was going to be below on Porzingis, and here we are. I told you Julian Reese. Here he is. Maybe I just have that one situation and one ridiculous basketball game figured out, but I think the right answer is just kind of looking at Chicago, Memphis, and just figuring out what the hell we like there and then how to react to DeJounte Murray. I think that's probably like the most obvious thing that we need to do is like know our Messi, Trey Murphy plans, our Zion Williamson plans, and move along with our lives.
Well, Langston, this one went straight into the dumper. The answer to this question is that you shouldn't be playing whatever these lineups are now. It was originally a 2v2 of Tristan Vucevic and Josh Minot or Porzingis and Messi, but now Vucevic not starting, Porzingis not starting. You should be playing neither one of those two combinations.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Not great.
Rocky Crab, Najee Marshall, or Porzingis on DraftKings. Got to be Najee Marshall, right?
Yeah.
Anything relevant on the 7 p.m. start games on FanDuel? Orlando, Atlanta, Golden State, Washington. No.
Good thing you're here.
For real, dude.
Yeah, covering it.
None of those teams are out. None of the top 16 guys in ownership are on those teams.
This is true.
Team. Atlanta, Orlando. Fuck, who is it? Golden State and who?
There you go.
Washington. I knew that.
Yeah, just making up names now.
Yeah. The highest owned guy in the 7 o'clock games is 17% owned Guy Santos. I would say that on FanDuel, there's not a single priority in the early games. You're obviously going to have, chunks of these guys for sure, but to me, there's not a single active priority.
Agreed.
Simple. Fadeaway music, Reese or Nemhard?
Reese.
Yeah, that's got to be Reese now, probably.
I mean, I do think it's very easy to look at the rotations for Dallas and have an idea of what we're going to get. He's going to start the first, second, third, and fourth quarter, and he's going to play 5 to 6 minutes in every single one for Ryan Nemhard. Like, that's very clear cut. That's what they're doing here with him, and I think that's what they do going forward with him. You have something that tells me he's the second worst player in the NBA, though. And that hurts my feelings because he's obviously done some nice things for me at different times this season. Greg's in here 20 minutes early. What are we doing here? What are we actually doing here? Now I have to deal with this in the background. Oh my God, whatever.
Greg Ehrenberg, always coming early.
Put that on his tombstone. Here we are. But yeah, must plays for the 555 on DK. We can rock with that here for 1-2 as well. Go through some of our favorites.
Yeah, Josh Giddey's got to be one of them. He just has to be. If Josh Giddey is not in your lineup, the must plays are basically like everybody else that's owned. Like that's the only non-Giddey thing you need, really. But,
I would have some stuff set up. I would have some stuff set up with Memphis, Chicago to make sure that I can maneuver for DeJounte Murray news. I mean, we've seen so many opportunities for like Sadiq Bey in these spots, for Zion Williamson. Zion is sub 8K and could be playing without DeJounte Murray today. You could have Trey Murphy out there, 7,600 point guard, shooting guard. That could look all right. I doubt I get to like the Herb Jones piece. I doubt Jeremiah Fears becomes crazy interesting, even at 4,400. His minutes have been way down, but like part of that is DeJounte Murray. So like he'd be an interesting piece of value, I suppose. And Messi, we've talked about at length. So like, I just think with both of those games starting at that time, I think you have a lot of late swappability that you want to kind of give yourself access to just by having more of Memphis, Chicago rather than less.
Yeah. In terms of like having to have guys, I think Giddey and Miller are the only two that I look at, and it's like that has to happen. Jalen, there's too many centers for Jalen Smith to be like a 100% yes to me.
Yeah.
Miller being small forward, power forward, 4,300 with the amount of minutes that he's been playing lately. They just don't have the bodies. He's just going to be out there. If he sucks because he sucked by playing shit.
How much wood could a woodchuck suck if a woodchuck could suck wood?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to suck a lot of wood tonight. So Josh Giddey, Leonard Miller. Those are my answers.
I'd let him if he put up 50.
Favorite FanDuel plays from KGDR24. Let's get through it. Clear this off. Point guard. Bang. All right. Oh, we just got a projections update at 6:41. So I will try to slowly but surely walk my way through this. Josh Giddey is going to be your preferred point guard or shooting guard, depending on which direction you want to go there. If DeJounte Murray plays, he is likely your second best option at either point guard or shooting guard. And then it appears Trey Jones is sort of next on the list of interesting guys.
Who?
And Darius Garland, too, I guess.
Who?
I like it. Trey
Okay,
Jones.
I tried. That's a Greg and I thing. I apologize, Greg.
Trey Jones. Who? Anyway, same stuff for shooting guard. Josh Giddey, DeJounte Murray, Trey Jones. But Dejan Giroux for the Grizzlies at 3,800, 30% owned and 50% optimal. So don't sleep on him at the shooting guard spot on, well, DraftKings or FanDuel, if we're being honest.
Yeah, he's 4,300 on DraftKings, so that's a little bit different to me. But no question on FanDuel. Hi, what a time to be alive. Shooting guard access 3,800, a little bit different than 4,300 point guard.
There's a breakaway small forward on FanDuel that's going to be Matas Buzelis. He is quite a bit more owned or optimal than anybody else. Realistically, I love Jason Tatum at 8K here, but there isn't another small forward priority outside of Buzelis.
Agreed.
Power forward, they bring him back into the fold. Buzelis is here. Leonard Miller is power forward eligible. Jalen Smith is power forward center. And then Zion Williamson is very interesting at 7,700 and could look even better on FanDuel if we lose DeJounte Murray.
I think he looks good now. He's the fourth most popular now. He would be nuclear if you got DeJounte Murray out.
And then finally at center, the clear top center on FanDuel is Donovan Clingan, 7,500, center only, 50% owned. If it's not him, you're probably using Jalen Smith. And if it's not him, you're probably not picking the right guy.
Correct. Very well put.
Is Kada playable? Yes, I guess. I mean, no, but yeah. I would not be playing Neemias Queta today on purpose.
I would not either. Disturbing game environment.
At least he plays. He's a guy at least.
Yeah, it's obviously a game that Boston. It's just such a horrible game environment. Maybe he's fine, but he's probably the least appealing center that we've said the name of, period, today.
Trey Jones or PJ? This isn't even close. That's Trey Jones.
By a lot.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Since we didn't talk about him on the DraftKings side, let me pull this up quickly. Do we want to talk about the 12% owned, 17% optimal, $4,300 Dejan Giroux?
Sure. Memphis in general, you're looking for anything that you can bring along for the ride. And you look at the rotations from the last few games, it's disturbing, but him and Burton, especially if you get Walter Clayton out, we don't even have Walter Clayton news yet. And I'm assuming that he probably ends up sitting in this spot. Memphis talked about it a little bit today. They are weirdly not on a back-to-back. I just always assume that they're on a back-to-back because it feels like nonstop Memphis has had back-to-backs over the course of the last 2 weeks. But it is a very cheap dude who's a good fantasy performer. Whenever he gets run, he just sucks at actual basketball. So DeLon Giroux, I'm okay with getting to a little bit, but I'm actually surprised. Did our optimal percentage just go up on him? Because this is just speaking to my point. I have no problem making him a placeholder and being able to maneuver. He's $100 away from Jeremiah Fears. There's so much swappability amongst just playing a bunch of Memphis, Chicago. And especially now that Porzingis isn't starting and we're going to see that dip down. I wasn't a big fan of Porzingis at his ownership today because I thought that there was only downside to some extent, or, Now, he's played all right over the course of the last 2 games where it's 20, 22 minutes, but realistically, does he have a right tail to, 23, 24, 25 minutes against Washington? My guess was no, but now nobody's really going to get there, and it kind of makes it a moot point. He probably looks like an okay tournament play when it's all said and done, if that ownership dips enough. But like, I think Giroux and playing some of these Memphis guys, Cam Spencer a little bit too, I've got right around 12% of. I like getting to a lot of them, if for nothing else, placeholder reasons.
I want to know what you like getting to the most. It is time for Nuke of the Night. We need to find out who is the greatest play of them all. Eric Lindquist, tell me who that man is for today.
Yeah, for today, we have DeJounte Murray, who has really kind of changed things for a number of different guys, if for nothing else, just like minutes reasons. You have an opportunity to get a lot of these guys with Murray off the floor, and that's where a majority of our sample size is. But like, you've got this rates tool that kind of makes our lives very, very easy. And I think just maybe if you were able to pull that up and be able to talk through a little bit of how to utilize some of it, because I want people to see what happens when you take DeJounte Murray off the floor for some of these Pelicans specifically, so that I'm not just sitting here telling you something that isn't researched, that isn't, me talking out of my ass about it. Like, take DeJounte Murray off a floor and take a look at who are some of the best fantasy producers that we've got here, because there's one guy who very clearly stands out to me. One guy who very easily ends up being like my highest owned player, and that is Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is an absolute nuclear bomb today. Both sites, there's no planet where this guy, where from a per 36 rates perspective, he gets up to like 7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, couple of extra minutes, more usage to be had, 26.6% usage, leads the team. And Jeremiah Fears is second in terms of usage. Well, I expect Fears, to play a little bit here. I don't expect him to get like ramped up some crazy amount of minutes. Maybe Rich, when he updates, would, have a different opinion on that. But like, we've seen like mid-teens, high teens minutes for Jeremiah Fears. They've really made it this core group of guys, playing them a gobsmack amount. So I wanted to throw that in one time for you during the Nuke of the Night. He's my gobsmack of the night. Zion Williamson, Nuke of the Night.
I love it. I think he's interesting regardless, just based on what this slate is. And if Murray happens to be out, it ends up looking even better. So I have no notes. We're kind of doing the same thing today in a weird way. I'm shocked that no one's getting to the guy that I'm going to. I love this play so much today. To me, an absolute no-brainer. Even the matchup is really great because there are injuries on the opposite side that make this, to me, even better than it is at the moment. This is relatively cost-effective for what it should be, and you're getting this person sub 10% owned. It's Team Duke today, baby. Jason Tatum is your Nuke of the Night. This is stupid. 9% owned. What are we talking about here? He played 32 minutes last time out. There's no Dylan Brooks on the opposite side. He's going to wreck Phoenix. It's Jason Tatum time, man.
Let's go, Duke. Let's go, Duke. Let's party. You and me. Tatum Zion. It's the season. It's the season. Also, I'm not going to have Duke winning it all because that would be bracket suicide, but I'd still want it.
That's I got to fill out Katie's bracket for work, and I was like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take Duke.
I know, it's just impossible. I saw like some of the early returns on it. Just Michigan, Duke. I hate these kind of years where they'll like. I feel like there's two very clear cut teams that are better than everybody else, but like That happens a lot in college basketball where you get like a team that can't lose. Purdue a couple of years ago, they lose as like a 1 seed. You get, we can't possibly fade Kentucky, and they lose to Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker to Wisconsin in the Final Four and don't even go undefeated. Like you got to be somewhat contrarian there. I can't have Duke winning it all. It's a bummer.
It is a bummer. But
Iowa
still be
State's
nice
the
when
fifth
they
most
actually
popular
win it all.
team. You know how annoying that is? I went to Iowa State. We've had a basketball team for the first time in forever, and they're like the 5th most owned team to win it all. Like 5th most picked team to win it all. That's so annoying.
No, what will be annoying is if they succeed and we have to hear you talk about it. This is not nearly as annoying.
Well, what's annoying is my wife will
they could be 100% owned in these contests. The only one that matters in this scenario is you. If you have them, then it will be insufferable if they succeed.
Probably. This is true. More insufferable than I am now?
You'd be a human cyclone.
Probably. I can guarantee you one thing. We will be partying. We will be partying.
I can guarantee you 2 things. Apparently, you may be partying. You will also get Greg Ehrenberg in 7 minutes and change for live after lock. He is here. He's going to break down any late swap opportunities. He's going to find some bets for you guys. Who the hell knows what else he's going to do, but he can do whatever he wants. It's his show. It's the Greg Ehrenberg show at 7 o'clock. Not officially named because live after lock, live before lock works better in algos. But, if the Greg Ehrenberg show worked, we would change the name. Should.
Yeah, we definitely should.
All right.
The Greg
Who we fading tonight? Who's the inverse nuke of the night? Who's the novel Wuhan coronavirus play of the day?
Well, I hope Porzingis ends up 29%. That would make me happy. Although we haven't really changed his minutes a crazy amount. So there is that. It's just a little bit less comfortable, I suppose. God, Julian Reese. So funny. It's so funny how DFS works. I'm like, Julian Reese, I think at 3% is kind of interesting. He's going to play a lot more than Vuk. And now he's just starting to have those minutes shown out in front of your face. And we're probably getting the identical situation. I'll say that's a lot of people that want to play him at the moment, but my God.
I didn't realize that we gave him that kind of bump and he jumped up to the 30-something%.
Yeah, I'm going to be below that number. I'm going to be below that number now. So shout out me for my great Julian Reese call until he was starting. And now I just don't know what to do with my life because I just like Evis Missy and waiting on news so much more.
So if Julian Reese plays well, is that a good call for you? If he plays bad now, is that a good call for you? I'm trying to figure out how we are how do we grade this at this point?
I've cornered the market on Julian Reese because I had the sharp call and the sharp shout out. Now he's starting and I don't want any of it. And somebody quit watching at some point, and then somebody else tuned in at some point and has heard 2 completely different takes. And look at me go. I'm like those idiots who will, post both sides of a bet on a betting service. Shout out Vegas Dave and shit. Like those guys that'll just, hedge themselves because they're garbage humans. So let's not do that. But I guess I kind of did that in DFS form today. Go me.
Sam Van Dam, DK utility 7,200 or less. He's leaning green. What do we think?
7,200 or less?
It's Jalen Suggs by Optimal.
Oh boy.
It's Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs.
I don't even know what green he means. Oh, Jalen Green? Yeah, it's Jalen Suggs before it's Jalen Green.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen Jalen Green massive upside, but it's like 8 for 14 from 3 upside. Like we've seen some irrational games from Jalen Green, and Grayson Allen back is definitely something that should temper your expectations.
Didn't expect to have Jalen Suggs be the answer to a question today.
No, me either. I don't
I love Jalen Suggs, but I didn't even think about him today.
He's his girlfriend knows ball. That's for sure.
Who's his girlfriend?
Van Lith, the chick who won the gold for 3-on-3 or whatever it was. The TCU chick. No? I don't know. Doesn't ring a bell. Shout out Jalen Suggs, Minnesota's finest.
Haley Van Lith. Okay.
It's not bad for a, 3-point shooting lefty.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But Team Jalen Suggs, man. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it did work. He did very good work there.
I'm a fan. Oh, man, I just keep looking at this Julian Reese ownership, and I do not like it one bit. Yeah, he sticks out like a sore thumb at the top of this list.
Yeah, I really hate it here. I really, really hate it here. I have almost none now. I just reran it, trying to get one more run in, and here we go.
Josh Giddey, Leonard Miller, Jalen Smith, 3 Bulls, 3 highest optimal plays. Who's the bust?
Jalen Smith.
It's not Giddey, right?
Bust. Like the bust between the 3 of them. I mean,
yeah.
Jalen Smith, I feel like I can get away from and still survive a good game from. Giddey, Miller, like they're necessity. Like Miller's a necessity by position. Like that is the most disturbing position we've had in quite some time on these shows. Small forward is a wasteland of broken dreams and sadness. And Josh Giddey is a nuclear bomb today. So like, I don't know. Feels like Jalen Smith.
Feels like Giddey to me.
Okay. Look at you, Mr. Contrarian.
Like, assuming he's as owned as he is here, if he's 75 plus, there's just so many other options around him. Why can't any of these other guys be awesome today and just beat Giddey? I think it's so much harder. I think it's a lot easier to win tonight if you have Jalen Smith and Leonard Miller than if you have Giddey. Like, cleanly. Obviously, Josh Giddey is going to be in a winning lineup more frequently. That's the data is on the screen and shows that. But I think it's a cleaner path based on his ownership. Now, if it's like 61 or something, then that changes things.
Yeah.
Folks, hit that like button. Let's run that number up right now so that we can get that like number higher for Greg Ehrenberg. Eric, tell the people what you got going on right now.
Yeah, I'm
Or do you need to put your lineups in? Do you need me to? Are you doing your lineups right now?
Yeah, I just can't get my CSV to upload right now for some reason.
You're good. You handle that. I will plug Eric right now. Go to Tails. That link is in the description. If I type in Lindy, it's really easy. He's the name that comes up. Click on the name. You can see the giant list of free plays that he is dropping regularly throughout the day. I'm scrolling and I'm still seeing stuff that dropped today. You could also subscribe. Click the VIP access button. The package is right here. Click, subscribe, and you're in. Then it's not just the free plays. It's every play. And I would highly recommend that. If it's not Eric, maybe it's Laffy, maybe it's Jake, maybe it's Ben, maybe it's Greg, maybe it's DK, maybe it's Mitch. You follow all of those people and get every single free thing they post on Tails. That is as easy as it gets, folks. Cost you nada, nothing, zilch. By the way, you have 15 seconds to go to get your lineups in. Otherwise, you're cooked.
I organized a bunch of stuff. Folders had things to move around, GitHubness, everything. I was just moving it around. And so it didn't save directly to my desktop. I had to go find it somewhere else. And I was like, where the shit are my lineups? So I was straight up not having a good time, but I had a good time. It was fun shooting the shit here with Josh, obviously. And so don't go anywhere. We got Greg coming up. It'll be good times.
We got Greg coming up right now. Perfect timing. Greg Ehrenberg, welcome to your show.
Yeah, should be a good one today. So we've got what I think is going to be good late swap opportunities. I don't know what your guys' lean is on Walter Clayton or on DeJounte Murray, but I'm hoping at least one of them end up sitting. I built lineups kind of like hedging that both of them could end up being out. So right now I have a bunch of exposure to it. Eric had mentioned Zion before. I have a lot of Zion. I have a lot of Trey Murphy. I got a Dejan Giroux in lineups. And I'm ready to do some late swapping. And we had a pretty solid late swap on Friday. If you guys hung around, we were on the show. We were late swapping. Ended up winning the $8 on Friday. And it was all from a lot of the late swaps that we did here. So hopefully we could go back to back today. We're also going to be building out some parlays. We'll look for some live bets, perhaps. Josh, Eric, one quick question before you guys leave. Do you have any strong leans on DeJounte Murray and Walter Clayton, whether they're going to be in or out?
Eric, go ahead.
I think they both sit.
Cool.
Yeah. I'd
Murray
say, like,
in, Clayton out.
Okay.
okay. And then
Well,
play
You can't
Murray,
have
by
nice
the way.
things. You can't get them both.
I don't even think I brought this up earlier, but like I kind of want to get to a lot of DeJounte Murray if he plays, but that's just me too. But we'll see.
All right, guys. Good luck
Later,
with your
boys.
lineups. Have a good night.
Later.
And yeah, strap in, guys, because we are going to have a couple of really big injury situations here. And it is the 8 p.m. game. So presumably we're probably going to get that in the next, I don't know, 30 minutes, something like that, something along those lines. If you guys have any questions for me as we go here, either leave the question in Discord, you can leave a super chat in the YouTube. But yeah, should be a good one today. Should be a good one. Let's see what we've got for any questions that came in right here. I don't know if this was answered before, but ankle breaker. Now, by the way, it is not formerly Travis Etienne. Now it is Travis Achan. Says over under 1 touchdown. I mean 3-pointers. I don't even know who you're referring to for today. Who are you referring to? I'll take the under. I'll take the under. What are we doing this year? Are we calling him Achan? Are we calling him Etienne? I have a feeling it's going to be like when we say like Igor Gioman, where you say Achan this year instead of Etienne, and people just get super confused and they think that you're talking about Devon Achan or something. Let's see. What do we have for other questions before we start to look at some of the questions in Discord? Let's see. Oh, we meant for for Tyson Etienne. Okay, so what was it? Under 1 touchdown. Oh, okay. I got you. I would take probably the over on that. Let's see what we have for our projection for him. Let's see. What do we have in our projections for who I did not play any of them in DFS today? Let's see. What's our projection here? We have him for, yeah, we have him projected for 0 minutes, it looks like. Unless I just spelled his name wrong. Oh, is it 1 T in his name? I might have typed in 2. Let's see. What do we have for a stats projection? We have him for 2.7 3-pointers attempted. Or yeah, no, I would take if the line here that you're trying to get to is just over 1 3-pointer, then I think the answer is over. I think the answer is over for sure. Let's see what Marquee Sports has here. Can we play Fears and Murphy together if Murray sits? Yeah, for sure. So I do think there's going to be higher priority plays from the Pelicans. But with that said, could you play Fears and Murphy together? Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'll be interested to see what the Pelicans starting lineup ends up being in the event that DeJounte Murray sits. If Fears starts, then at 4,400, yeah, he'd be a really, really strong option for sure. See if there's any other questions here in Discord. If not, Krebsy, Murray, and Zion okay together. So here's the big caveat. Are Murray and Zion okay together? Obviously, you need Murray to play. So if Murray is in, if Murray plays, I don't like Zion all that much. If Murray sits, I really like Zion. So that's kind of the caveat here. So are they okay together? Not really. Like, it's not the end of the world if you played them in the same lineup. I personally wouldn't want to do it, though. We did just get the starting lineup here for the Nets, and it is... See, how does it compare to what we had projected? So we had the Nets. And by the way, the Nets starting lineups every day could be basically anything. Any Nets starting lineup would not really be all that surprising. What our projected starting lineup was for the Nets was Powell, Zaire Williams, Traore, Claxton, and Wolf. The starting lineup that we got here is Trey, Powell, Williams, Wolf, and Claxton. So We've got, the same lineup that was projected. No real changes there. We were expecting Zaire Williams to start. We were expecting the front court to be Wolf and Claxton, Traore and Powell in the backcourt. So no real changes there. Everything is as was projected. By the way, when at the end of the show, I asked Eric and Josh to guess whether they thought Murray and Clayton would be in or out. It wasn't like definitive them saying that they were going to be in or out. It was just a best guess. Josh said he thought Murray was going to end up playing as his best guess. My best guess is that Murray sits, but still, just a guess. It's nothing that's definitive. As of right now, the status of Walter Clayton as well as DeJounte Murray very much up in the air. They're both questionable. They're both questionable. Nicholas Barrett, are you crazy to love Zaire Williams today? Yeah. Here's what we have for our projection. So for a couple of reasons. Here's our projection on him, even with him expected to start. We have him for 22 minutes at $4,700. He's not a good fantasy producer. So $4,700 we have him projected for sub 20 fantasy points. On top of it, we have all this potential late swap opportunity where you could lose out on being able to swap to DeJon Jarreau. You could lose out on being able to swap to Fears or whoever else might open up. So, did we just get a weird lineup here? I see Rich posting. So we ended up getting Clayton in, but there's still value here because, at least per what Rich was saying, is that so Javon Small, who was expected to play, Walter Clayton, who is questionable. Walter Clayton is in, Javon Small is out. So we ended up getting value here on Memphis. It was just not what it was that we were anticipating. Did not think Javon Small was going to end up being ruled out today. And Javon Small is somebody who we had projected fairly decently. We had Javon Small projected for right around 30 fantasy points. We had Small. By the way, Small's look pretty good too. So yeah, we had Javon Small for right around 30 fantasy points and 26 and a half minutes. So I think this is going to do a couple of things for Memphis. Number one is I think Jarreau is in play now because he's going to have to soak up some minutes. We've got Walter Clayton at $4,700. I think that, especially with him being point guard and shooting guard eligible, it's funny. I was thinking about Jarreau all day under the circumstance of what ends up happening if Walter Clayton ends up sitting. But now we've got the scenario where Clayton is in, but Javon Small is out. So I think it brings Jarreau in play. But Walter Clayton, I think, is probably going to also end up looking pretty good when we get this next projection update. Always interesting wrinkles. How do I, let's see. Aliziari Israel Pruitt, 5654. He had to be 5654 because there was already 5,653 people that had the name before. But yeah, you guys could go see Underdog posted it. And then Rich also said Grizzlies PR had posted it as well. No Javon Small. Yeah, and by the way, it seems like just a healthy and active, which is odd. Because I think he's played really well when he's been out on the court. He seems like a real rotation player. But yeah, Rich is very quick with it. Best projection guy in the space. So we'll have this projection update coming soon, and then we'll have to do some late swaps. So in the interim, let's see if there was any other questions. There is not. So let's build out a FanDuel same game parlay. And then by the time we build this out and come back to the projections, I assume Rich will probably have it updated. And then we will be good to start rerunning lineups. Yeah, Rich says two-way guy had to miss at least one more game. This is it. Yeah, I could see that also being they're playing the Bulls. It's a game that matters for tanking purposes to some extent. So have him sit out today. Small, maybe a little bit too good to play against the Chicago Bulls. All right, so FanDuel has a 3-leg same-game parlay. Let's build that out here really quick, and then we'll go ahead and see what we can get for projections. Well, let's look at FanDuel first. And then I also want to show you guys, we have the new live EV in-game projections also on OddsShopper. So we'll pull those up, but kind of have to wait for some of the games to actually start and get going for that. All right, what are some of the top projected individual bets for today? We'll avoid the Memphis ones for now, just because some of those unders could look a little weird now because of the scratch of Javon Small. Unless there's any overs that project well. We've got some giddy lines that look good. Yeah, I'll probably avoid this for now. Let's look at the Spurs and Clippers game. Is there anything that stands out from this particular game? Keep in mind, there is no Kawhi Leonard for today, so that's going to be opening up some extra opportunity and usage for other Clippers guys. But yeah, there's only one bet that we have with a really high EV in this game. I'm going to skew this a little bit more towards our projections because they're fairly recently updated for these other games. But yeah, nothing looks all that good for the Clippers Spurs game. How about for Lakers Rockets? So keep in mind for this game, we do have some injury news that we're still waiting on for this one. Alperen Şengün is questionable. I think it was back soreness that was holding him out. So with that in mind, like I want to avoid any of the unders that project well here on Kevin Durant, but there are some other Lakers guys where I think we could take advantage of some of these opportunities. So LeBron under on assists. Luke Kennard is, we can actually play both these together. There's pretty good correlation on both of these Luke Kennard props. If we go Luke Kennard for under 6.5 points and under 1.5 threes, obviously those are ones that correlate pretty well together. So I'll pair those for this particular game. All right. So if we go Luke Kennard under 11.5 points, or sorry, under 6.5 points, and then Luke Kennard under 1.5 threes. Those both project well individually. And then we have to get one more bet in here from this game as well for the 3-leg parlay. So we got LeBron under 6.5 assists. We have him projected for 5.4, or Luka under 7.5 assists projected for 7. I'll lean towards the LeBron one. And that would give us a 3-leg same game parlay that we could use our boost for. What does that come out to? Plus 263 with the boost. I don't mind that, especially because of how heavily correlated the two Luke Kennard lines are. Like, if Luke Kennard makes under 1.5 threes, there's just no way that he's getting to over 6.5 points. So I'll roll with this. I'll also post this to Tails right now, and then we'll go back and check on projections, do some late swaps. And just in time, Rich just updated it a second ago. So let's pull the projections up for the Grizzlies. All right. How are these guys looking now? All right. So we have Walter Clayton now projected to start. We have Walter Clayton in for, 25.5 fantasy points at $4,700. Very solid. And then also Giroux, 24.25 fantasy points at $4,300. Both these guys look really solid now. It's going to be a little bit easier to get Walter Clayton in lineups, even though he's a little bit more expensive, just because he's the point guard and shooting guard eligibility. So both of them are guys who I'm going to want to be rostering, but I'm going to prefer Walter Clayton. Obviously, assuming that we end up getting to this being the starting lineup with Walter Clayton, which I don't think there's been an official starting lineup yet. This is just our best guess right now. Then I'll refresh this one more time to look at ownership, and we'll pull up the FanDuel projections as well while I look at Tails to post the bet that I just placed. All right, let's look at Memphis over on FanDuel now. So here's what we've got on, and there we go, DeJounte Murray out. Okay. All right, DeJounte Murray out as well. So we got all the injury news to break our way. You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Over on FanDuel, Walter Clayton is $5,300, so he does not look very great over on FanDuel. However, Giroux is $3,800 on FanDuel. He's got to be one of the top values on the entire slate there now. Let's see. If we sort by value, number one is Giroux. Number one value over on FanDuel. That's despite us projecting to come off the bench and play 22 and a half minutes. So on DraftKings, I think Walter Clayton looks a little bit better. On FanDuel, I think Giroux looks a little bit better. And Walter Clayton really doesn't look all that great on FanDuel considering the price point over 5K. All right. I'm going to, even though we don't have the Murray update quite yet, I'm going to do one late swap now anyway, just because we've got 14 minutes until the next slate of games starts. So I want to make sure I get at least one swap in before. And also what I'm going to make sure I do, I'm going to zero out DeJounte Murray and give boost to some other Pelicans players, just because then when I run everything through the late swap tool, it's going to really make sure that I get like the immediate adjustments made. It'll backload lineups, and that's going to give me more flexibility for when everything is really updated for DeJounte Murray as well. So I'm going to do that right now. Johnny, is Giroux and Spencer solid value? Giroux for sure. Spencer doesn't project quite as well for us because he's $5,100. Like, he's fine, but Giroux is a much higher priority than Spencer. Much higher priority. All right. If you guys want to tail the FanDuel bet, it is up on tails. Well, should be in a second anyway. Termite, is Murray out? Yes, Murray is now officially out. We just got him ruled out. So with Murray ruled out, yes, we could say 100% certain. Before we were just guessing, but now we know for sure. No DeJounte Murray today. Here's what this means for some of the on-off court numbers for the Pelicans. Let's pull this up. Okay, so New Orleans Pelicans, guys. Let's take Murray off. Where is he? Here we go. Okay, so we take DeJounte Murray off the court. This is a big one. He has played a really significant role as of late for the Pelicans. So with Murray off the court, some of this is going to be a little bit misleading just because Murray's only played in, like a handful of games. We haven't seen a ton of Murray this year. I wish there was a way that we could sort this by just like the last 30 days or something like that. Let's see. Is that an option in here? No, just because of, Murray's missed the majority of the season. But yeah, him being out, we should anticipate there to be a pretty decent usage bump to go to Zion Williamson. Like you could see for the season, Zion has a 26.6% usage rate when Murray is off the court. But still, once again, doesn't really totally do the short-term justice just because DeJounte Murray has played. How many games has Murray played in this year? Murray has played in, he's only played 2 games over 30 minutes. In the last 2 games, massive roles for Murray as well. 31 and 31 and a half minutes, usage rate north of 30%. Oh, looks like Rich already got a projection update in for Memphis. Rich is quick with it today. For New Orleans. Okay, let's see what we ended up doing here. So for these guys, sorting by value, we've now got Jeremiah Fears in for 27.23 fantasy points. We've got Misi. So one thing that's also going to happen is the Pelicans are probably going to have to play some bigger lineups. As a result, we got Misi in for 22.8 fantasy points at $3,700. You got Murphy now for north of 40 fantasy points. Herb Jones for 26 fantasy points. Queen now for 25. We've got Zion for over 40 fantasy points. If you guys backloaded your lineups, you're looking good right now. This is one of the reasons, too, before we had the question from Nicholas Barrett, who had said, not to pick on you, but just to make a general example, he had said, am I crazy for loving Zaire Williams on the slate? And it wasn't that Zaire Williams projected so poorly that he was unplayable, but look at all of this value that you potentially missed out on if you locked in some early guys in lineups. Great day to have been proactive with the news. All right, let's start doing some swaps. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. And I am definitely going to be on the lookout for anything that comes in here. We've got from Chad Chandler, Marshall, or Washington. I'm going to now say Najee Marshall. Let's see what we've got for projections on these guys. We've got Marshall in for just under 30 fantasy points. We've got PJ Washington for 28. So yeah, Najee Marshall for me. It's somewhat close, but Marshall projects for about a fantasy point higher. And let's go into Discord now. Mayor does say that there is. Okay, good to know. Good to know. I missed it. There is, if I click the optional filter, there is a last 30 days. Thank you. I was not aware of that. Jag, 260. Giroux or Fears in high dollar. So I'm going to go with Fears now. I think Fears is the way to go. Look at our projections between the two. I think we had Fears projected for like 3 more fantasy points. Help if I could spell. Here we go. Yes, we have Fears for 27.2 fantasy points. And then we've got Giroux in for, 24.29. 3 fantasy point gap. That's pretty much always going to be the higher projected guy when there's that big of a gap between the two. All right. Apologies if I start talking a little bit less. I am grinding on my lineups here to make sure that I get everything updated, but also going to be keeping an eye on some of the Discord as well as YouTube just to get like a general idea of what it is that you guys are thinking about. So I'm seeing people asking about this player versus this player, and you're looking at it through the lens of the new value guys who opened up. Jeremiah Fears is the best option of all the guards that we just got. I prefer Jeremiah Fears to Giroux. I prefer Jeremiah Fears to Walter Clayton. So if you're trying to figure out which of those cheap guards to go to and you're only picking one, it is going to be Jeremiah Fears for me. And by the way, as well as we have Fears projected, we don't even have Fears projected to start. So if you see Fears come off the bench, don't panic. He still projects really well for us, even with that consideration. We're currently expecting Fears to come off the bench. We've got Fears in for, 25 minutes for Fears, and he still projects for 27 fantasy points. If Fears starts, then even more of a no-brainer. Even more of a no-brainer in that kind of scenario. For people asking, yes, DeJounte Murray is officially out. Saw that come up in the chat again. There is no DeJounte Murray today. DeJounte Murray is out with an illness. So coming into the show, sorry if this is a little repetitive, but I just see people asking about it in chat. So I want to make sure I clarify, especially because there's games locking in 7 minutes. So coming into the start of the show, Walter Clayton was questionable and DeJounte Murray was questionable. DeJounte Murray has officially been ruled out. Walter Clayton was ruled in, but in turn, Javon Small from the Grizzlies was unexpectedly made inactive. So that created some additional value anyway on the Memphis Grizzlies that basically served the role of what would have happened if Walter Clayton didn't play. All right, I'm kicking off my late swaps now. Let's see what ends up showing up. So Ron Sims brought this up. Here's something I'm really interested to see. I had I'm still going to have a shit ton of Josh Giddey, but I had him in nearly all of my lineups before. I assume it's going to go down a little bit, my Giddey exposure, not because he looks worse, but just because so many other options opened up. I had 97% of Josh Giddey going into the start of the slate. I'll probably end up with like 80% of Giddey, I think, or something like that. I'm guessing anyway. Could end up being wrong, but that's my best guess. But you guys will know shortly. Has anything exciting happened in the start of these games so far? Let's see if there's any fantasy point outcomes that really matter so far. All right, so the Magic, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's 8 points, a rebound, and an assist. That's a pretty hot start for him. Draymond Green is 5 points, 5 boards, and 2 assists. Okay. Julian Reese is struggling early. 2 rebounds, no other stats. He was fairly popular today. All right, so my first swap here, I ended up getting to not enough of the guys that I want. What did I do here? Oh, I ran this with the old projections and not the updated projections. That is not going to help my that is not going to end up helping my lineups here. All right, let me change that now. That was a donk move by me. I'm looking, I'm like, why did nothing change? See, we got a question from Discord here. Discord question is from Bronx Boy Rob. Wants to know Marshall or Danny Wolf. Marshall over Danny Wolf. Marshall over Danny Wolf. Neither of them are like super high priorities though. All right. Now I should have this right with the correct projections, hopefully. Yeah, now it's right. And I'll still do another late swap run when we get closer to the start of the games here. Closer to the start of the 8 p.m. games, I mean to say. I don't know if I have Draymond Green lineups. I'd have to check. Yeah, Dan says he still has 96% of Giddey. Well, let's see. Yeah, it actually didn't change my Giddey. I still have a ton of him. I'm going to have to do more swaps. I didn't get to as much of some of the other guys I wanted. So, like, I only have 20% of Jeremiah Fears, for instance. Yeah, I want to have more than that of him. But for now, I think I'll just upload the backloaded lineups that I just got in here, just so I have those saved. And then I'll do another late swap run. I'll try to fit one more in right here before the 7:30 games, but I don't know if this one will make it in time. I'll do my best, which is just pressing the button and waiting for it to do all the work for me. But yeah, I don't know if this one will finish in time. Go, computer, go. All right, let's see what else we have for possible questions here. Does Reese really have 3 fouls already? Let's see. 2 points, 2 boards, 2. Yep, 3. So he might be done for the first half then. All right, good run out for Julian Reese. How much of Reese do I have? I have 34%. Not quite ideal. I have 15% of Draymond. So, okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's not terrible. Actually got my lineups in. Was able to do the update there. I still didn't get to a ton of Fears, though. So I'm still going to have to do more swaps, try to get to more of Fears. But let's see. What else was notable here? So what do I have of... Not much of Walter Clayton. Giroux. How much of Giroux do I have? I got to a lot more of Giroux than I thought I would have. I got to 42% of DeJon Giroux. Okay. I mean, obviously, I want to have a good amount of him. I'd like some of that Giroux to turn into Jeremiah Fears because I only have 20% of Fears right now. But yeah, I'll do another swap in like 20 minutes and see what ends up changing there. So we're still waiting on starting lineups for both the Pelicans as well as the Grizzlies. That's something that could once again end up changing some of the starting lineups. But by the way, Andrew Jennison, how do you watch Julian Reese play basketball and put him in more than half your lineups? I have a feeling you would not have said that the other day when he scored like 50 fantasy points. He's a good fantasy producer. I mean, I don't have him more than half my lineups, but Julian Reese so far. So Julian Reese this year, yeah, I mean, his last 3 starts he had, or his last start, I should say, he played 38.5 minutes at 18 points and 20 rebounds. I mean, he's a good fantasy producer. Also, if he doesn't get into immediate foul trouble, he's probably playing, pretty sizable minutes today. But if he's going to get 3 fouls in 7 minutes, he's going to foul, just about every time in that kind of scenario. Let me show you guys really quick the new live EV tool, which is pretty cool over on OddsShopper. So this is also going to be really useful for live betting the NCAA tournament. So you could see here that while games are in play, you could compare all the odds to different books. We have EV projections. So you could see across the different games what it is that we're projecting for live EV. And you'll find some really high live EV opportunities as well. So Nick Claxton here, for instance, look, he's 10-1 to have a double-double over on DraftKings, and also on Onyx. But a lot of other books like FanDuel has it at plus 650. You'll see it's as low as plus 525 over on Hard Rock. So one other thing also that I found to be pretty helpful is under the filters here. If you go to games only at break, which right now might not be any of them. But yeah, so if you put the filter on for games at break, because live bets will move pretty quickly. But if you put the filter on to only have games at break, this is a really easy way to give yourself 10, 15 minutes to get some of these bets in when games are at halftime or in between quarters. So I'm definitely going to be using this a ton during the NCAA tournament. And I've been playing around with it during some NBA games as well when games get to halftime. But let's build out a parlay for DraftKings. And then by the time that we're done with this, there's probably a pretty good chance that we end up getting the starting lineups in for the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. Because last I saw, we did not have those yet. Yeah, we don't have any of the starting lineups for the 8 p.m. games. So for Dallas, I presume Ryan Nembhard ends up starting, but that's not a given. He started yesterday. They change their starting point guard all the time. For the Pelicans, do they start Jeremiah Fears? Do they go with a big lineup? And do they go with Misi at center? That's a possibility. For Memphis, is it Walter Clayton in the starting lineup? That's what we're projecting, but you never know for sure. So still some news yet to come here. What are the boosts available on DraftKings for tonight? Let's see. So DraftKings tonight has a 20% NBA same game parlay boost. Has to be a minimum of 4 legs. Okay. For a week, we only had to do 3 leg same game parlays, but now they're back to making it the 4 legs as a minimum. Let's answer this question here from War Eagle. My biggest ownership question tonight with my 20 lineups head to head: who's better tonight, Zion or Buzelis? Zion, or jam both? Zion over Buzelis. Zion over Buzelis for sure. All right. Well, now that we have some of the injury news here. Oh, Pelicans starting lineup. All right, Pelicans going small. Jones, Murphy, Zion, Bey, and Misi. All right, so it's going to be Fears off the bench, Misi at center. So Misi's going to be a really strong value option now. Fears still looks good. We talked about it before. But so Fears coming off the bench, this is what we're anticipating. And with him coming off the bench, we still have him projected for 27 fantasy points. But this kind of solidifies what it was that we were projecting before. What did I have of Misi in my late swap? 33% of Misi. All right. 33% of Misi. I'll be sticking with that. Maybe even get more of them when we do the next update. But all right, given some of the updates that we've had, let's see what we could do here for a 4-leg same game parlay for the Chicago Bulls and Memphis Grizzlies game. It looks like there aren't a ton of Grizzlies props on the board here. We can make almost like a sole Josh Giddey SGP, because the top 3 bets that we have from this game: Josh Giddey over 2.5 threes, Josh Giddey under 9.5 rebounds, Josh Giddey over 20.5 points. That's going to correlate well with the 3 points prop. Here's another Josh Giddey one, but we're not going to be allowed to play this one as well because it's rebounds plus assists. But then if we go down, we've also got here, we go Nick Richards under 7.5 rebounds. I'm not strongly opinionated on the Nick Richards rebound prop. We got him for 7.1 rebound projection, though, at 7.5 rebounds. Then there's a pretty big drop off in terms of expected value for the rest of the lines here. But Josh Giddey, anytime that we get two of these individual bets that we could play together that very obviously correlate, Josh Giddey over 2.5 threes and over 20.5 points, just like what we had with the Luke Kennard prop, I'm probably going to want to combine those together with one of the boosts. So let's play this. And starting lineup confirmed for the Bulls: Giddey, Jones, Miller, Buzelis, and Smith. All right, let's play this SGP. Start with Josh Giddey over 2.5 threes. Okay, then we've got Josh Giddey under 9.5 rebounds. Then Josh Giddey over 20.5 points. And then finally was Nick Richards under 7.5 rebounds. Let's see what kind of coin DraftKings is going to allow for me on this one. All right, not bad. So let me get $13 down on it. So once again, it is Josh Giddey over 2.5 threes, Nick Richards under 7.5 rebounds, Josh Giddey over 20.5 points, and then Josh Giddey under 9.5 rebounds. That's what we've got. Ryan Renenbaum, not playing today, but watching for the support. Thank you. Appreciate you hanging out, even though you're not playing DFS today. Always nice to get guys just hanging around and shooting the shit with us. Choke Hold'em, this was on DraftKings. The FanDuel parlay, I built out a FanDuel parlay earlier. The FanDuel parlay was, pulling it up on Tails to jog my memory. Yeah, so the FanDuel same game parlay is Luke Kennard under 6.5 points, Luke Kennard under 1.5 threes, and then LeBron James under 6.5 assists. That's the FanDuel same game parlay. So you got one for FanDuel, one for DraftKings. Dub K, why not Murphy over Zion? For what purpose? I have more exposure to Murphy than Zion. Let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, I have Murphy in 65% of lineups, and I've got Zion in just about 40%. So I love both of them. I've got a ton of exposure to each of them, but I personally do have more of Murphy than I have of Zion. So why not Murphy over Zion? Because that is what I'm doing. Because you should. No projection update quite yet, although with that said, once again, this is what we were expecting. If you go to our Pelicans projections, we have Misi in as the starter in our last run of projections. And as a starter, we Misi projected for 24 minutes and 22.8 fantasy points. That's why on my last run, like I mentioned, I had Misi in 33% of lineups. Curious to see if his ownership ends up coming up now that he's confirmed as a starter. Although with that said, there's only 21 minutes left to go until the final game's on the slate lock. We could kind of just have everything locked in at this point. Starting lineup for the Mavs: Nembhard, Christie, Marshall, Flagg, Washington. So they're sticking with Nembhard in the starting lineup. It seems like there's a new starting point guard once per week for the Mavericks. But yeah, a couple consecutive starts in a row here for Nembhard. See what other questions there are in Discord for us. We've got Sally Sal says he's got 10% fears. Is that low? So Sal, if I usually plays on FanDuel, not always, but off the top of my mind, usually most of your questions are FanDuel related. So assuming that you are asking for FanDuel, I would say on DraftKings, 10% of fears is too low. For FanDuel, where fears is $5,300, quite a bit more expensive than he is on DraftKings, 10% of fears is reasonable on FanDuel. If it's DraftKings, then I think you haven't played enough of him. Einsteinium, thoughts on PJ Washington as a pivot off of Najee Marshall? I prefer Marshall. I don't love either of them, though. I think there's better plays on the slate, but I prefer Marshall to PJ Washington. Don't Be Soy says, not a results-oriented question. I thought Draymond was in a great spot, especially considering price wins and matchup, leverage on Porzingis, but he wasn't projected optimal much, and his recent play is not good. How do you usually approach this type of situation? Generally, advice. I just kind of run the Sims and see where everything lands. I ended up getting to 15% of Zion. I don't really incorporate my biases too much into making my lineups. I mean, it's a good start for Zion, 5 points, 5 boards, and 2 assists, but I also don't want to look back on. So also keep in mind this with Draymond's start. Good start, 5 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, but things have gone his way also. Like Guy Santos and Will Richard both got into foul trouble in the first quarter here. Starting line for the Grizzlies confirmed now: Walter Clayton Jr., Cedric Coward, Jalen Wells, Rupert, and Prosper. Let's see, how does that compare to what we had projected? We did get, most importantly, Walter Clayton starting. Well, let's see what we had for the rest of Memphis. So Walter Clayton, we got Clayton, Wells, and Coward. Here's one difference: we did have Taylor Hendricks projected to start. So instead of Hendricks, it's going to be Ryan Rupert in the starting lineup. That's going to make Hendricks look quite a bit worse. Hendricks at 5K on FanDuel was somebody who was viable before the starting lineup came out. I'm going to say less so now. And then for Memphis, we had Taylor Hendricks at 5,100 for 26.17 fantasy points. So he was somebody who was not like a great option, but he was in play. And now I'm going to say that Taylor Hendricks is mostly taken out of play. For people who are now going to be asking about Ryan Rupert, fairly weak option in my opinion. We only have him in as a 0.75 fantasy point per minute guy, and that was despite him coming off the bench. Now as a starter, we should anticipate a little bit lesser of a fantasy points per minute projection just because he's playing with better players. That's less usage available. He's not all of a sudden going to be projected for 40 minutes either. Like, look how flat our minutes projections are for Memphis. We had Hendricks projected as the highest minutes for anybody on the team at 27. We have them running a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-man rotation of guys playing 20-plus minutes. Rupert, to me, is not a very good option. He's not all of a sudden going to play 35 minutes, but he's going to remain a crappy fantasy producer. For the question about Rupert over on FanDuel, Rupert, yeah, same deal. He's 4,400 on FanDuel. I know you look at 4,400 and think like, oh, that's a cheap price. Not for a guy who's projecting for 3/4 of fantasy point per minute, and the team is playing such a deep rotation that he's not likely to play a ton of minutes. I'm going to say a no on Ryan Rupert. What is Porzingis doing right now? I'm seeing people bringing him up in chat. Porzingis is at, yeah, Porzingis is going absolutely insane. Porzingis is 8 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block in 6 minutes. How much of Porzingis do I have? Nice. I have 41% of Porzingis. I feel good about that. Patrick, any lean on if Şengün is going to play or not? I didn't put a lot of thought into it because he isn't on the main slate. So I don't. I guess my best guess is that he plays just because it's the game that matters against the Lakers. But it's not one I thought a lot about today. Alex, is Javon Small a bad play? Yes, he's inactive today. He's a very bad play. He's out. 0 minutes. Don't play him. I find it unlikely that Porzingis is 0% owned today in any contest. Find that unlikely. All right. Let's see. We just got a projections update. So let's look at Memphis and New Orleans with the starting lineups out, and then we can run some late swaps. So for Memphis, Walter Clayton, we now have in for 25.24 fantasy points at $4,700. Jero now in for 23.41 fantasy points at $4,300. Here's what we did with Rupert. Once again, kind of driving home the point I made before. We have Rupert projected for under 20 fantasy points at $4,600. Weak option. Weak option. Let's look at New Orleans now. For New Orleans, now that we have the starting lineup confirmed, we have Messi. All right, so we bumped Messi up a little bit now that he's confirmed as a starter, and he looks really good now. 24 fantasy points for Messi at $3,700. We've got Jeremiah Fears. We did dock Jeremiah Fears a little bit. So it looks like we shaved a minute off of Fears and gave it to Messi. So we've got here Jeremiah Fears for 20. Still looks good. 26 fantasy points at $4,400. I prefer Fears to Walter Clayton and Giroux still relative to Price if you can make it work. But yeah, is worth noting that we did dock Fears a little bit and then reallocated some of that playing time to Messi. I think Derek Queen's a little bit sneaky here. Derek Queen, we have projected for 24 fantasy points at $4,600. We saw the inverse of this earlier in the season. Do you guys remember some of those games where Queen started, he was really popular, but he would only play like 18 minutes. Messi would end up starting the second half and playing more than him. I think we could see the inverse happen here. I want to take some GPP shots on Derek Queen. He's very, very risky for today, but I think there's pretty substantial upside there. And ownership now updated as well. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run everything through the late swap tool. I'll let you guys know what my updated exposures are. And then we'll look to see if there's any live bets in the live EV tool. And then we can call it a night. If you guys haven't done it yet, by the way, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for any of the packages the way I have here at Stochastic, the promo code NBALBL, that will get you 15% off any package. That'll be good for any of our DFS packages. That'll be good for the Stochastic props package. That also works for OddsShopper if you want to use the live EV tool. Although I'll let you guys in on a little secret here. Tomorrow, we're going to be running for the NCAA tournament, we're going to be running a 50% off deal for the NCAA tournament. So if you are looking to sign up for OddsShopper and take advantage of the bets for the tournament, just wait for a day. Just wait for a day. The Prop 7 code is not still on. That code was just for Friday. That one was just for Friday. All right, working on my late swaps here now. Let's see if there's any other questions. Got a super chat here from Mastermind Magruder. Miller or Herb Jones, and then Messi/Bay or Smith and my first pick. But there's a lot to unravel here. All right, well, there we go. Somebody asked before, what's my lean on Şengün? I said I didn't really know, but I thought he was more likely to play. Just ruled out. So there you go. There's your answer. No Şengün for today. All right, so Miller or Herb Jones. Okay. So that is going to be Miller over Herb Jones for me. And then the other part is Messi, Bay, or Smith and first pick. So I guess somebody else who's in that 6,500 range. I'm going to say Miller and the Messi and Bay combo. I think I understood the question correctly. Sal, do I boost players before favoriting the lineup, having an issue, not getting fears? So you can favorite the lineups and then boost fears, and that will just automatically change some of the lineups. Clint Capella starting today for Şengün, by the way, if you guys are playing the late slate. Doesn't matter. You could do it in either order, Sal. Either order, and it'll work. But let's get down to late swapping now. All right. Looks like I have to also change my NHL DFS lineups. So I have a lot going on right here. Let's see if there's any other questions. Nothing pressing at the moment. All right, so what am I hoping to get out of this late swap? So one thing that I definitely want is more of Messi. That's going to be the number one priority for me. And then whatever else falls into place. Dorian Ogans, Garland and Herb Jones, or Bruzelis and Nemhard. I'll say a Garland and Herb Jones. By the way, Miller, any questions that have, because I'm seeing a lot of people asking like Miller or this guy, like Miller versus this guy, Miller versus this guy. The answer is, unless there's like some crazy price discrepancy, the answer is pretty much always going to be Miller for me. Like I have a ton of exposure to Miller. Miller's at least on my last run, Miller was my second most rostered player behind Giddey. So I'm going to be defaulted to say Miller there. Let's see if I could easily global swap my hockey lineups here. Sorry, I know this is uninteresting to you guys, me trying to fix my hockey lineups, but what can I do? What can I do? Okay. I just have to global swap. Do I even have him in lineups? Let's see. So I have to change the starting goalie for the Mammoth. All right, should be good there now. Back to NBA now. Still plenty of time. We got 8 minutes. That's an eternity. That is an eternity to make updates. How much of Porzingis did you guys end up playing? I presume that he's the highest scorer on the slate, even in just his handful of minutes so far, because he has a billion of them. Marquee Sports wants to know, do I have any March Madness picks? I have not looked into the NCAA tournament quite yet, but I'll see. I might have some stuff for you later on in the week. Another thing I'm considering doing now that we have the live EV betting tools, I know Lofty's planning on doing this. I might do some of this as well, is some live streams, just watching the games and then live betting from the live EV tool, which should be able to find a decent amount of value during the college games. All right. Making sure that I upload the right set of projections here because I already messed that up earlier. Fool me once. I mean, it's a shame on me really either way because it's my fault no matter what, working with the lineups here. But, all right, yeah, got the right one selected here. Looks like there were some super chats here. Bill Castle, thoughts on Cam Spencer? A little bit too expensive for me. So the issue with Cam Spencer for tonight is, well, for starters, there's just a shit ton of value that's opened up on the slate. But also, he's more expensive than some of the other cheap guys. And what's going to end up happening here, in all likelihood for the Memphis Grizzlies, is they're going to be running a 10-man rotation. Nobody's very likely to play north of 30 minutes. So at the kind of price point that Cam Spencer has, he's not somebody who I really want to be prioritizing. That's how I feel about it. And my late swap is kicked off. So, Bill, if you're playing a bunch of lineups and Cam Spencer's in some of them, cool. That's no big deal. But if you're just playing one lineup, Cam Spencer would not be in it. I think the last, if I remember correctly, my last set of lineups, I think I had 10% of Cam Spencer. Let's see, what do I have? The exact number. No, it's even like I now have I have 1% Cam Spencer right now. So that is going to be in general a no for me. Updates now. So I now have Misi in 40% of lineups. I love that. I'm going to do one more late swap just because I have the time for it. But yeah, 40% of Misi. I like that. I'm rocking with it. seeing one more run of swaps. If I end up with maybe a little more than the 40%. But I like that number. I'm going to try to boost Derek Queen a little bit too as well. I mentioned before that I like him as a contrarian GPP option. And was there anything else in Discord? A couple of them here. Einstein wants to know, am I off of DeJon Jarreau? I'm not off of him. I'm not off of him. I have less of him than I had before. I have him in 27% of lineups. So less than before, but still solid. I have 32% of Jeremiah Fears now, so I got some more of him. And yeah, I've got the 40% of Misi. All right, I'm good to upload this. My lineups are final. Then I see we got one more super chat here from Pierre. Jarreau over Rupert easy. They're going to play a comparable amount of minutes. And look at this. Okay. So they're going to play similar minutes, right? Rupert, we have projected for 0.74 fantasy points per minute. Jarreau, we have projected for 1.09 fantasy points per minute. So even if Rupert plays a couple of extra minutes, like Jarreau is going to project so much better than Rupert just based on that. All right. Doesn't look like we have any other questions for now. But let's go ahead and look at the props tool. Oh, comment God asked Misi over Jalen Smith. Who did I end up with more of between those two? No, I prefer Jalen Smith to Misi. I like Misi a lot, but I prefer Jalen Smith to Misi if it's just a 1v1 question. All right. So you guys will see here that if you are looking to place any live bets, so none of the NBA games are paused right now. But in between periods of the Devils and who are they playing? The Bruins game here, we do have a little bit of value on the Devils to have over 1.5 goals on DraftKings for today. So there's a bet for you guys if you're looking for something that's paused in the action. We'll be doing more of that as we go here. I think Lofty also is going to start doing potentially some later night NBA streams where you can find some live value when some of the games go into halftime. But all right, let's see. Any other final questions? Doesn't look like it. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for hanging around. Hopefully you took advantage of the late swaps. This is a great late swap slate, one of the better ones that we've had in a minute. And hopefully more of these to come, considering that we're at the tail end of the NBA season. Each team has, 13 to 15 games left, something like that. So there should be a lot of these really good late swap scenarios to get a lot of DFS value and hopefully win us all some money. If you haven't done it yet, guys, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, sign up for any of the stochastic packages that we have here with the promo code NBALBL to get yourself 15% off. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Later, guys.